You're listening to the REITE Club podcast, where the focus is all about helping you grow your real estate investment portfolio and live the life you want to live. Come grow with us and join our community at thereiteclub.com. And now your hosts, Sarah Larby and Alfonso Salemi.
I believe that so much of the time we get stressed because we think everything needs to happen in the next instant. And people pick up on that stress. So it actually pushes people away from us rather than drawing them in. Every situation is different. So I'm hesitant to give like one size fits all approaches. But in my opinion, what we need to do is, again, get to know somebody and their stuff. So many times I've been on a call or like in person, been in a meeting with a potential investor. I ask them a few questions and I realize, wait a second, I've got a rent to own deal that I'm working on right now. This doesn't fit them. What fits them is a long-term buy and hold property based on their answers. So instead of pushing my deal on them, because I've been asking questions and listening to them, what I'll do is say, hey, and this is a really good question, I think, for everyone. Ask hypotheticals. Hey, so you've said this is important to you, this is important to you, this is important to you. If I were to find a property that could do this and this and this, would that be something that interests you? And when I provide hypotheticals like that, sometimes I've got something in my back pocket, sometimes I don't. But then I at least know what to work on. So much of the time when it comes to financing and those kind of things, we're in the rush. So I would say the best thing is, and I'm sorry because I'm not really answering your question, Sarah, but the best thing is to back up a step and say, listen, if this deal falls apart, that's okay. How do I get the next 5 deals done? And the way I'm going to get the next 5 deals done is getting to know somebody well and not pushing what I have in my back pocket necessarily, but making sure I answer their questions appropriately. So, hey, listen, this is what we need to be prepared for the next deal. When the next deal comes, sometimes these move quick. Are you okay with moving quick when this happens? They say yes, we get the paperwork done. Now they're ready. Now, even if it comes in a month, 2, 3, whatever, when the deal is in, now we can close it quickly. So the people that I find that are excellent at this are always preparing. They're playing the long game. They're not simply peddling their little trinkets at the side of the road in the moment. They're going, how do I really take care of this person? Because if somebody, I've had investors consistently that will close 2, 3, 4, 5 deals with me. Well, that's way better than closing this one deal in front of me. So again, I don't know if I answered your question, Sarah. Ask it again in a different way.
No, it was really good. And I mean, I think that urgency sometimes backfires, right? And then just setting the legwork for that long game, I think is really important, because if you are urgent and you maybe people will think that you're a little bit more desperate, and you don't want to ever come across as needing them versus trying to help them get to their goals. And I think that's the big difference, where I see a lot of newer investors and they're like, I need a JV to get started because I don't have other means. And then they come across as like, it's about them versus the other person, what their goals are, and being able to, I call it trial close in my sales lingo, but really understand what the other person's needs are and saying, if I come across something like this, is that something that you'd like me to present with you, to you, whether it's, a month from now, 3 months from now, et cetera. And I think setting that groundwork builds trust, it builds credibility, and they likely will feel like you've got their best interest versus just looking out for yourself and trying to get something that you don't have because you urgently need to close it. So I think it's a great answer. So thank you for that.
Sarah, really quickly, you said something there that I think is extremely important for people to pay attention to. And both Alfonso and Sarah have asked fantastic questions. So pay attention to everyone in an interview, right? Because we can learn so much. But something you said, Sarah, you talked about trial closes, but you said, it's not about playing the game. It's not about pretending that we need them or pretending that they need us or they're going to lose something. It's not about the game. It's about taking care of their needs. You said that very specifically, and I agree 100% with that.
Yeah. And to Sarah's point, right? I think, I forget, it was said on one of our podcasts or at one of our events, but like needy is creepy. Right? If you come across as needy, it sounds like, oh, what? Like, well, why is that? I don't really want to work somebody that sounds needy. And again, when we're like, again, we've worked with over 80, 90 joint venture partners that we've worked with. And it is really about every single one of those people are different and have different wants and needs. And yes, a return on investment, like somebody might take a lower return on investment because they feel better about a certain deal or a certain area. And it's not always one size fits all. And not to sound like cheesy or anything, but to be understood is really to understand, right? To understand where that person's coming from. We all have different life experiences, things that we've encountered that we view it differently. So really, really great advice. So let's talk a little bit more about the real estate. So what type of investing gets you excited, or is it just helping investors? Like, did you have a portfolio yourself that you're like, hey, I really like this type of portfolio because we help people, we can kind of parlay a few different types of things? What does your portfolio look like? I'm being really careful about my questions right now as well too.
Yeah, when at the beginning, I didn't know much. So it was just single family homes, wasn't even suite of properties. I knew nothing, and I wasn't very creative in my investing. I met a couple of individuals that coached me along the way, fantastic investment for myself. And I started learning creative strategies. So not simply, I don't know, the strategy of buy and hold, fix and flip, whatever. We've heard the BRRRR strategy or whatever we've heard of, but more, how do we connect with people to solve problems? So again, I know that in Ontario, agreements for sale aren't as popular as they are out west, but they're absolutely doable. And an agreement for sale is this magic solution for many problems where all of a sudden we can say, hey, based on your needs. So again, oh, you don't want a bunch of money right now because you're going to be taxed on it? Great, I've got a solution for that. Oh, you don't want whatever. So actually for my strategy, it's not actually the real estate. I love the real estate. I love the properties. For me, it's about, again, developing these relationships and finding the way we can position deals. Agreements for sale are fantastic. Vendor takebacks are fantastic. Vendor takebacks, though, I don't find them every day. Sometimes it takes me a while between vendor takeback finances. But as far as actual deals, I would say I like sweet spots. So in certain markets, there are sweet spots with certain types of property, certain price ranges. Right now, one sweet spot that I like across Canada are multi-units that are above about 12 units is kind of a magic spot for me, so that the financing is easy with banks as long as it's a good deal. And under about 30 units, though, those are, to me, the big players in real estate are not interested in them. But the small people, the people that are just starting out in real estate, don't even know about them yet. So I like this, playing the supply and demand game and finding those sweet spots. That's probably how I would answer that.
Very cool. Now, is your focus these days on the real estate, or is your focus on the sales and everything else that goes around helping other investors become successful?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say that my focus used to be really on real estate and getting deals done and helping people. Over the last 4 or 5 years, I've actually slowed down on how much I acquire, and I've really focused on my coaching business. I truly, my earliest memory of things that I wanted to do were being a doctor or a vet. I've always liked helping, and I never became a traditional medical doctor, but I love helping people. And what excites me every day right now is meeting people and finding solutions. So whether that's in real estate, that still happens, or whether it's just with clients that I have, helping them get to their goals. And so much of the time, there's such little tweaks that we can make to a situation that starts to solve problems, where people have a little more confidence, or they feel a little bit more comfortable talking to people or having those conversations. To me, so much of the time we notice, and this is normal for human psychology, we notice big things. We notice when somebody purchases a multi-unit and we get excited about that, or starts a new REIT, we get excited about that. But the biggest changes that happen in human beings are the 0 to 1 type changes, where I don't have any properties and I'm terrified of asking for money, but I did it and I'm working on my first deal. Those are super exciting for me because those are the people that can take huge steps later on. It's the start of the process that's most difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, go ahead, Alfonso.
Well, no, I was going to say just recently, Sarah and I have been talking, and And I asked Sarah, I said, what's new, what's exciting in your life? And the first thing that she said was, I'm so excited. One of my new students, they just went through their first BRRRR, and they're going through the first steps. And I think sometimes we get lost in that, how many transactions, how many deals that we've done, and maybe it's the 5th one, the 10th one. We've done, hundreds of rent-to-own properties, and you kind of get in that monotonous stage. It's just normal. But then when you're seeing somebody else experience it for the first time and seeing it in a different light, it re-energizes you a little bit, right? And I think a lot of the time, and you alluded to it, and I wrote it down here, is I think we are in that instant gratification society, right? Like, geez, it's called Instagram, right? It's instant, right? We want everything right away. So when you're working with clients, and I know Sarah works with clients as well too, what are some practical tips of practicing patience? Because I know myself, and especially in the midst of pandemics and anxiety, and we want all this now, and we see the goals, and we see people pulling up in the $1 million homes, and it's probably just sad or something like that. But what are some of the things that we can practice patience to get to that point, or setting that plan? Is it a course of action? Is because obviously there's a big plan. It doesn't just happen overnight. What are the key fundamentals to practice that patience, to say eventually we will get there? What are the proper steps to take?
Thanks for listening to the REITE Club podcast and joining our community of real estate investors online at thereiteclub.com, where the focus is about helping you grow. We look forward to seeing you again next week. Thanks from your hosts, Sarah Larby and Alfonso Salemi.